I never imagined that one notification on my phone would force me to question 22 years of marriage. It wasn't a message from another man. It wasn't a lawyer. It wasn't a hospital. It came from our retirement account. And it said something I still remember word for word: withdrawal completed. I stared at the screen, waiting for it to make sense, because I hadn't requested a withdrawal, not even a small one. My name is Ethan Walker. I'm 47 years old. My wife, Melissa, and I live in a quiet suburb outside Columbus, Ohio. We've spent most of our adult lives doing what millions of middle-class American families try to do: work hard, pay the mortgage, save for retirement, hope the future turns out a little better than the past. I work as an HVAC technician. Melissa teaches third grade at a local elementary school. Neither of us ever made six figures. We weren't wealthy, but we were careful. Every month, money automatically went into our 401k retirement accounts. Sometimes it meant saying no to vacations. Sometimes it meant driving the same SUV for 12 years. Sometimes it meant skipping expensive weekends with friends. But every sacrifice had one purpose: to retire without becoming a burden to our children. That dream kept us disciplined, or at least I thought it did. 3 weeks before everything changed, we met with a financial advisor. He complimented us on staying consistent with retirement contributions. He even said, "If you keep this pace, you'll have plenty of flexibility in your 60s. I drove home that afternoon feeling proud, not because we were rich, but because years of ordinary decisions were finally paying off. Then came Tuesday morning. I was replacing an air conditioning unit at a customer's home. My phone buzzed in my toolbox. Normally, I ignore notifications while working. This one caught my attention. It came from our retirement account provider. I expected another monthly update. Instead, I saw the words, "Withdrawal completed." For a moment, I assumed it was a mistake. Maybe the app had a glitch. Maybe someone sent the notification to the wrong account. I opened the app anyway. My stomach dropped. A large withdrawal had been processed the previous afternoon. The amount made my hands shake. $214,000. Nearly everything we'd spent more than 20 years building. Gone. I checked the transaction again. There was no mistake, no fraud alert, no security warning. The withdrawal had been authorized, using Melissa's login credentials. I couldn't focus on work anymore. Every possibility raced through my mind: identity theft, scam, bank error, or something even worse. I called Melissa immediately. No answer. I sent a text. Nothing. Another call, straight to voicemail. The drive home felt longer than ever. Every red light made me more anxious. Every mile filled me with questions. Why would anyone touch our retirement savings? Why wouldn't she tell me? What could possibly be important enough to risk the future we'd spent decades building? When I pulled into the driveway, Melissa's car was already there. She was sitting on the front porch, as if she'd been waiting for me. The moment our eyes met, I knew she already knew. She wasn't surprised to see me. She looked heartbroken. Not guilty, not angry. Heartbroken. And somehow, that scared me even more. Because people don't look like that after making an ordinary financial decision. They look like that when they've been carrying something alone for far too long. I walked toward her slowly. Neither of us spoke. Finally, I held up my phone. The retirement notification was still on the screen. I asked only one question. "Melissa, what happened?" She closed her eyes, took a slow breath, and quietly whispered, "I'm so sorry, Ethan." Then she said 6 words that completely changed the way I saw our marriage. "I didn't think We had another choice. For several seconds, neither of us moved. Melissa kept staring at the porch floor. I kept staring at the retirement notification on my phone. 22 years. 22 years of saving. Automatic payroll deductions, missed vacations, old cars, extra overtime, weekend side jobs. And now, more than $200,000 was gone. I finally asked the question I had been afraid to ask. Where did the money go? Melissa didn't answer immediately. She looked exhausted, like someone who hadn't slept in days. When she finally spoke, her voice barely rose above a whisper. "I'll explain everything." Those words should have comforted me. Instead, they made my stomach tighten, because people usually say that right before your life changes forever. We walked inside. The house was unusually quiet. The television wasn't on, no music, no conversation, just silence. Melissa placed a thick envelope on the kitchen table. I recognized the return address immediately, our retirement account provider. The envelope had already been opened. She'd been hiding it for days. Inside were withdrawal confirmations, tax withholding forms, and something I never expected to see: an estimate of the early withdrawal penalties. Even though Melissa had left her teaching job last year, most of the withdrawals still triggered taxes and permanently reduced the retirement balance we'd spent decades building. I sat down slowly. The numbers were painful. Federal taxes, state taxes, processing fees, thousands of dollars gone before the money had even reached our checking account. I looked back at Melissa. "Why?" She wiped away a tear, then quietly pushed another document across the table. It wasn't a bank statement. It wasn't a bill. It was a medical invoice. Outstanding balance, $186,742. For a second, I thought it belonged to us. It didn't. The name at the top belonged to her younger sister, Emily. 2 years earlier, Emily had been diagnosed with a rare autoimmune disease. I knew she'd been receiving treatment. I also knew she had health insurance. What I didn't know was that her insurance had denied coverage for part of an experimental treatment. The appeals failed. The hospital wanted payment. Collection notices had already started arriving. Melissa looked at me with tears in her eyes. They were going to sue her, Ethan. They were talking about wage garnishment. I couldn't just watch. I felt my anger fighting with my sympathy. Emily was family. I cared about her. But this wasn't $10,000. This wasn't $20,000. This was almost everything we'd saved for retirement. I asked the question that had been haunting me since I got home. Why didn't you tell me? Melissa covered her face with both hands. Because I knew what you'd say. She wasn't wrong. I would have said no, not because I didn't care about Emily, but because one financial crisis shouldn't destroy another family's future. Melissa nodded. I knew that, so I convinced myself I'd replace the money before you ever found out. Replace $214,000. Even saying it out loud sounded impossible. Then she told me something else. She hadn't withdrawn the money all at once. She had spent months convincing herself there had to be another solution. She had applied for personal loans. She had helped Emily appeal the insurance decision. She had contacted charitable foundations. She had even tried negotiating with the hospital. Every door seemed to close. Eventually, she made the decision alone. Not because she wanted to betray me, but because she felt trapped between two people she loved, her husband and her sister. I wanted to understand. I truly did. But understanding someone's reasons doesn't erase the consequences of their decisions. I looked back at the retirement statement.
then at the tax estimate, then at the nearly empty balance. For the first time in our marriage, I wasn't worried about money. I was worried about trust. Because if Melissa could hide something this enormous, what else didn't I know? Just when I thought I finally knew the whole story, the phone rang. It was our mortgage lender, and the next sentence changed everything.
My phone was still in my hand. The mortgage lender sounded concerned. "Mr. Walker, before we can approve your refinance, we need to discuss a significant change in your financial profile." I already knew what was coming, but hearing someone else say it made everything feel real. "The retirement withdrawal has affected your application." He explained that while our income still qualified, the sudden loss of retirement assets changed how the lender viewed our long-term financial stability. The refinance we'd been counting on was now on hold. I thanked him, hung up, and quietly placed my phone on the kitchen table. Neither of us spoke. Melissa looked devastated, not because I'd raised my voice, I hadn't, but because the consequences she'd feared were now happening in front of us. For the next week, our house felt different. We still ate dinner together, we still went to work, we still said good morning, but something invisible had changed. Trust had become fragile. One evening, I sat down with every financial document we owned: accounting checks, savings, mortgage paperwork, insurance policies, retirement statements. For the first time, I wasn't looking for missing money. I was looking for a path forward. That's when I realized something. The money was gone, but our future wasn't. The next morning, I asked Melissa to sit with me, not for another argument, for a plan. I told her something she'd never expected to hear. "I'm hurt, I'm disappointed, but I'm not giving up on us." She immediately started crying, not because everything was fixed, because for the first time since the withdrawal, she believed it might be. Over the next several months, we made difficult decisions together. We postponed our kitchen renovation. We sold the SUV we'd barely used. I accepted extra commercial HVAC projects on weekends. Melissa returned to full-time teaching earlier than she'd planned. Every extra dollar went toward rebuilding our retirement savings. We also made one rule that changed our marriage forever. No financial decision over $1,000 would ever be made by one person alone. No exceptions, no matter how urgent it felt. Because marriage isn't just about sharing a home, it's about sharing responsibility. A few months later, Emily called us. Her voice was stronger than I'd heard in years. After months of appeals, the hospital and insurance company finally reached a settlement. A significant portion of the medical charges was reduced. Emily insisted on repaying Melissa, not overnight, but through monthly payments she could realistically afford. It wouldn't replace everything immediately, but it was a beginning. A year later, we met with the same financial advisor we'd seen before all this happened. He reviewed our updated retirement plan. We weren't where we'd hoped to be. Our retirement timeline had been pushed back several years, but we were moving forward again, slowly, honestly, together. As we walked back to the parking lot, Melissa reached for my hand. She looked at me and quietly said, "I thought hiding the truth would protect everyone." She paused, but all it really did was put the people I loved on opposite sides. I squeezed her hand because I finally understood something too. Fear makes people hide things. Love sometimes makes people make terrible financial decisions, but secrecy almost always makes those decisions worse. Looking back, the retirement account wasn't the only thing we lost. We temporarily lost confidence in each other, and rebuilding that took far more work than rebuilding our savings. Today, our retirement account is growing again. Not as quickly as before, but every monthly contribution reminds us of something more valuable than money. Trust isn't protected by keeping secrets. It's protected by telling difficult truths before they become expensive mistakes. If your spouse secretly withdrew $214,000 from your retirement fund to help a family member, would you eventually forgive them, or would the broken trust be impossible to rebuild? Leave a comment. And if you enjoy real American money stories with powerful life lessons, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more episodes from Dollar Confessions.